Here's the core scenario. The first part of our scenario is how do we identify our risk? The whole component we want to do when we teach a client or somebody about their risk in their organization is what's their attack surface of a machine. That is, how much of that machine is exposed to a potential attacker, no matter where that location of that attacker is. If that attacker is outside their network, what's the actual attack surface there? If the actual attacker is inside their network, what's the attack surface there? And that's part of understanding how to identify vulnerabilities for an organization. We want to do discovery and classification of those vulnerabilities. Just because a system has a vulnerability does not mean that organization's severity is what we call a critical state. We have to learn how to discover and classify exactly what that vulnerability means for our potential clients. And then we have the passive vulnerability detection. And as the icon shows there, it's an ear. We're listening onto the wire or onto the network to see what the network is giving us some information. The main thing we do here is we do a technique called protocol analysis. We look at the different protocols that's taking place on the network and we identify any weaknesses in the protocol, what we call banners or servers or information that the servers are providing to anybody who actually interacts with them. Even though it takes an active method to do this, we actually are going to passively listen so we can't actually be detected, and it's what we call non-intrusive or open source information gathering, and we're going to identify that to be able to analyze what vulnerabilities are there just by listening. And then finally, we're going to do active vulnerability detection. Active vulnerability detection is the mainstream. That's where we're going to send something into a target to try to elicit a response. We're going to try to get a response back and then analyze from that response what the actual target has as with respect to risk. That is there risk involved with the target? And if there is, what can we do to help analyze or mitigate that risk? Potentially putting in a security control is the most common way of doing this. But for us, for our purposes, we want to make sure we understand how do we send in information, and once we get that information back, how we analyze it. That is, we have to be able to send in the correct stimulus, if you will, and then be able to analyze the actual response. It's just like anything else. You, in an active situation, you send something in to get a response back. The technique and the skill is in analyzing that response.